Hello, everyone. John Doyle from OptixEQ. Welcome to another version of OptixEQ Live on YouTube. It's Thursday, May 26th, and what we're going to do is we're going to review some live racing. Hopefully, some of you who are new to optics may get familiar with it. It's going to be like drinking out of a fire hose sometimes because I'm trying to not only get some of the novice players new to optics, but also people that have got experience with it, and also take a look at races and see if we can put you on some right angles in the up and coming races. First thing I'm going to do is in each of these races interpret the plot. Some of them may be interpretable, some aren't, but at least gives you a sense of how to use the plot, maybe how to apply the information. Really good stuff. Talk about form cycle analysis, and that's where we use Optics Notes, very key tool in helping us assess where the horse is in his current form cycle. And then, maybe a wagering strategy discussion as we look at the board and try to say, okay, what is our opinion of this race and how do we apply our opinion so that we reflect it in the bet we make, okay? So that's a very important thing. Should be betting races that we like and should be betting the opinions that we like and stay with that process. It may not always work, but in the long run, that's where you want to be, especially if you have the right information. And that's what we try to provide here at Optics, good information you don't find everywhere, and then be able to apply that information in a way that you can be landing on some live horses, okay? So hopefully this thing will record. It does. A little problem with the recording last time. Hopefully there won't be any hiccups this time. You can ask questions, just send away. Again, we're on YouTube, and thanks for joining us. The menu I want to kind of cover in this period is going to be races Indiana Race 3 through Canterbury Race 3. So 4:38 roughly to 7:10. I'll try to stay with it, and like I said, answer any questions. If there are other races that people want to look at, but these races at least had a little bit of an opportunity to look ahead of time. Didn't delve into them, but at least we're able to kind of look at them at least first glance. So I'm going to start with Indiana Race 3, which is up there at 7 minutes to post time. And let me go to the plot first. You can see the plot on your screen. Hopefully, let me just verify that. Oh no, let me get the plot up. Okay, there we are. Okay, so we'll look at the plot. This is race 3 in Indianapolis, or I guess it's Horseshoe now. A little rebranding there. So you can see the plot. One thing I'll tell you about the plot, the contention looks like it's a sun. So what does that mean? It's like average contention, but the speed rating is very high. So we expect pace in this race. And if you look at the run styles, you can see there's two horses that really need the lead. You have the 4 and the 6 who are also kind of early presser types. There should be some gas in this race. On the plot, it looks like the 6 looks superior in terms of the early pace. So that really will reflect badly on the 2, 5, and 4 in this situation. So they might be a little bit vulnerable. But when we look at the grid is our past performances information. You can see that we can make even a case against the 6 a little bit. Just especially if he gets softened up, he could be vulnerable late. He does look, when you look at the quad percentages and what that is, it's the track profile versus how they plot. And the 6 does look good there. But again, I think he's going to get, and so does the 1, by the way. I think he's going to get softened up a little bit and could make him vulnerable. Right now, he is 9-2. I didn't look at the doubles, but he could be the favorite in this race. Not quite sure. So it's close, I guess, between him and the 7. So the horses that are coming off the pace in this race and are squares. And what a square is in optics, it's horses with better finishing ability. So it's the 1, 3, and 7. You can see the 1 should be sitting maybe a good trip, maybe can suck up and pass horses late, could be in a good position. So as a horse we got to consider. So that's one I want to look at. I also want to look at the 3 and the 7. These are horses that are going to be closing. And I prefer the 3 over the 7. I'm going to explain why. Even though the 7's more of a favorite right now. Let me just show you right here. Is that the 7 is what I call more of a presser than a presser closer. And I think he likes to be a little bit closer to the pace. And I'll show you. In fact, let's just do it right now. Let's go to, let me pull up the grid for number 7. So the number 7, okay, is one of those horses again, third off a layoff. It's getting really tremendous class relief, right? He's been running in races. You can see that we have the actual value of the purse of that race is 41,000 last time. Now it was state bred, but still, get a little bit of class relief in here. Here's the problem I have with this horse. If you go to he's quadrant 4 today. So if you go to his quadrant 4 races, this horse is 0 for 5 with 1 in the money finish. He doesn't want to be, he wants to be plotting closer. So I think he's a little bit of a mismatch and vulnerable as the favorite in this race, okay? So I'm against the 7. And I look at the 3. He's the other closer in this race. Another horse that's getting some class relief. And, you know, he's run a 64 last time, first off a layoff. Now this is his second race off a layoff. He's got some numbers like the 74 here. That's good enough to win this race. Has done okay over sloppy tracks. He's had the B, and that's what we have today at Indianapolis, and then also a B minus here is, you know, biggest figure to date. So prefer the 3 over the 7 as far as horses coming off the pace, and then the 1 was the other horse that I thought might sit the trip. Now he just broke maiden, but this horse did run over this track and ran a decent race in his debut versus a lot better. And he ran a 61, and then broke her maiden against cheaper. Races are slow, but she's run B's in both races. She just may get that trip, and this may be definitely a race you could take a shot at. So I thought this horse was worth a look. So for me, it's 1 and 3. We talked about the 6 maybe getting softened up. And here's the thing about the 6. Look at all the red in this horse's past performances. No finish, lone. This horse is kind of like needs the lead. It probably will get the lead, but make it based on that plot. Looks like she may have to work for a little bit. Could leave her vulnerable late. So I would limit her maybe to some of the underneath in this race. So for me, the 3 and the 1 are the horses I would probably key around in race 3 in Indianapolis. That kind of looks like the 2 to me. And currently, 3 is 7 to 2, and the 1's 5 to 1. I think those prices are be there or better based on what I just quickly glanced at the double, because the 6 and the 7, the horses are getting played in this race. So 1 and 3 for me in Indianapolis race 3. So if you're looking at multi-race bets too, I would play the 3 more than the 1, but I would include both in doubles and in pick 3s or whatever you're playing. And maybe even consider a 3-1, exact box 1-3. So, okay, so that's Indianapolis race 3. I also wanted to look at, and this is 18 minutes out, and we'll come back to Indianapolis once we're there. I'm going to look at Woodbine race 8. Woodbine's a very tricky track. I mean, it's synthetic. It's kind of unique, right? You have all these horses that are pretty much on an island. That's all they run at. They don't get shipped in, shipped out. So you really have to have a good set of notes, I say, and Optics Notes provides that for you. You kind of get assessment of how visually these horses run. When you look at the plot for race 8, it looks like the 3 and the 1 have an advantage, right? They're early pace horses. The contention is a snowflake. What does that mean? People new to it. It means like there's really no contention expected, and the speed rating is a little bit below average at 23. So not anticipating a really fast pace. The 3 and the 1 look best on the plot, and the 7. Even though the 7 kind of a circle here, it looks like another horse that could sit close and make a run. So those are the horses that I want to consider. And the reason I want to kind of lean on the 7 is because of the notes. And you can see it here in the table. The table to the right of the plot is always just kind of a shorthand, the last couple of races, last 3 races. But you can see there's green keywords in this horse's past performances of the number 7. So let's go to the number 7. I'll get them on the grid. I'm going to filter just number 7. You can see that this horse started his career, maiden special weights. We tagged him as a sprinter right away. So he's sprinting today. That's good. Then he ran a decent second race, ran a B minus versus maiden special weights, kind of improved a little bit. Even though his figure didn't show that. Looked like he made a move. Let's see what the extended comments. Always read these extended comments. Caught wide so he kind of caught wide early, moved inside. Okay, late. Then he comes back, or she comes back. Now he's a 2-year-old race. You got to understand, right? It's 2-year-old races. So her number like of 75, just think about some projection because horses do improve at age. And she was running at according to us, running at the wrong distance. We thought she's more of a sprinter. Looks like finishing a blank for the minors. She might have made a move or got some flow in that race and just kind of petered out. Again, it might be because she doesn't want to go that far. Now she's kind of was laid off, comes back, gets dropped, probably the right kind of move, but she has some issues in the race, right? So tactics, traffic, she closed, even despite having had much of a push late. So we're projecting improve on that. And again, she didn't back up number-wise, so she really looks strong from a numbers perspective. She's 5-2, and even though she's not a big price, you could do well in exotics with her if just because the one has taken so much action. Now, the one may be the horse that finishes second in here, and that might be the case. This is second off a way off. This is a horse that's dropping to the lowest level ever. There was one thing, though, when you kind of look at this horse that she offers no value, obviously, but also no finish in that last race. And the thing that I'm really not crazy about the one is she's really never improved number-wise from her 2-year-old season. Remember we talked about on the 7 that horses improve significantly from 2 to 3, generally like 15 points in that year, right? 15 OptixEQ points. She really didn't because she was kind of running, 82 in her debut. And even her race back now as a 4-year-old, her first race as a 4-year-old, no finish in 77. Now she's running against the lowest level ever, but she's really too low for me for a horse that's 4 to 5. I don't want to take it. So the other horse that we had mentioned, let me go back, I think it was the 3, just because this horse might be loose on the lead. Horse that I don't trust too, especially at 6.5 though, because she has her litany of no finishes. So I don't know what to do with her. For me, I think, I know it's not a big price, but I'd probably be doing a win bet on number 7. Now I don't believe there's a race after this, so there's no exotics or anything like that. I just haven't dug enough. Maybe you could dig a little deeper and look at maybe exactas, or you just want to play more with the favorite. Sometimes there's value there playing the favorite at second. You just bet you're improving your win price. So the horse is 7 is 3 to 1 now. It's pretty exact is pretty good actually. Looks like maybe 12 to 1 with the 1 underneath. So anyway, something to consider. But 7 is the horse in this race. I think from just kind of looking at the notes, I think that's the edge. So maybe some money 7, and again, if 7-1 is paying that much, and the exact is, I would use those. I would use that one too, because just to bolster the win price on number 7, because it just seems like the horse that's the most likely second place finisher in here. Or the 3. 3 is a good price. So just based on that plot alone, I know he's got the no finishes, but you could see that when you look at the plot, all these circles in quadrants, 3 and 4. I mean, in quadrant 4, really negative, right? Oh, the other thing is we have 2 first-time starters. Might want to use 1 or 2 of those. I just don't have a strong opinion in either one. The works look kind of slow on both of them. And these horses have run good enough to win. It's not like these speed figures are so below average that I would say that, first it would be interesting. They're both not taking any money. So that might point to something too. So, but there's something to consider in this race, both the 2 and the 6. But for me, it's 7 in the Woodbine race 8. Oh, they're off. Oh, I'm sorry. They're already running in the at Indiana. Looks like the 1 is in the lead. Wow. 1 and the 3 is chasing. Could this 1 hold on? He looks a little tired, but he's gonna cash. Okay, good. Well, I think that was the result we wanted. 1-3, yeah. 10 to 1 over, looked like 2 to 1. I don't think the 3 ended up the favorite, so that's a good thing. Okay. All right, let me see if there's any questions out there. No. Okay. Okay, good result in race 3 in Indianapolis. Yeah, the 7 went off 6-5, the 6-5-2. Yeah, very generous. I think we should get we're going to get rewarded for our good handicapping there. But again, it's all about using the information. Sometimes it works, but I mean, if you stay consistent, and all you're really kind of looking, what I'm looking for, and everyone approaches it differently, looking for something that's different, something that's an edge, something that you don't see out there in kind of the normal stuff. And we use both plot notes to kind of get us there. Okay, so Indianapolis race 3, good. We're 11 minutes out on Woodbine. Oh, might as well, I'll flip over to Churchill. Really, I was interested in the first race, but then we had the issue with the weather, and we only got 4 horses in a race. And I think this race, even though it doesn't say it here, I think it's switched to dirt. And I think 7 and 8 were the only dirt horses in this race. I don't know if there's any kind of value in that race, so I'm skipping to race 2, and I'll come back to race 2 at Churchill. Yeah, 7 and 8 are, I guess 7's 5-2, 8's 2-1. Yeah, maybe if you want to try to beat the 2. If 2 does go off the favorite, he's the 7-5 favorite now, and you want to play the doubles. One horse to kind of look at in the second race, and we'll get to it a little bit more, is the 6, and I'll tell you why. Again, it's one of those edge things, and it's information that it's not prevalent in the public domain unless you buy our stuff, and show you how to maybe apply something. Okay, so Woodbine, we are 10 minutes out, and I'm going to switch over to Gulfstream. Gulfstream race 8. And we're moving fast here, so hopefully you keep it up. Okay, so this is a race on the turf. And let me look at my notes here. I know I kind of looked at this race, and when you look at the plot, it's a plot red fit. What does that mean for people new? It's a little chaotic. We're really hard to you can see the plot. It looks kind of like almost like linear, right? It's not. It should be more diagonal. When it lines up on this kind of this white band, you got a good plot. This one really doesn't. But it's still something we can look at. And the one thing that really pops out at me is the contention is Snowflake, which is really slow, or not slow, but not contentious, and the speed rating, which is low. So that usually favors horses forwardly placed. Now, the 8 is way up on the y-axis, but the horses that are more forward early, that would be horses to the leftmost, are the 5 and the 7. And the 5 looks like he's got an edge. He looks like he's a square. Looks like there's a horse that if maybe they put into the race early, could be a potential wire-to-wire candidate. Okay. And the 7 would be the other pace horse in this race, but the 5, he looks like he's a little bit above the 5, but it looks like he's a horse that will go to the grid. But I think the 5 might have the edge there. And then the other horse that I thought was mildly interesting would be the 1 in this race, just from a horse that might be a little bit closer to the pace. The 8 is kind of interesting. I just think it's a horse that maybe is coming out of better races or faster races in the middle, but I just think currently is kind of the form is a little bit off on that horse. But let's look. Let's get into this. Let me explain why I mentioned the horses I did. So let's start with the 1. This horse came off a 50-day loss, so this is his second race off a layoff. That 82 fits right with this, and that was a better than luck race. Had a horse had traffic, had trouble. Just that alone, and especially the horse at 9-1, makes this horse a contender in my book. Okay, just no doubt about it. You got the 2 coming off a layoff. I understand why they're betting this horse. This horse has got some class. This horse is running fast enough. Come out of Del Mar races, but I really don't like when a horse gets laid off 80 days and then another 193 days, and then they kind of drop this horse and they switch him from the West Coast to the East Coast again. I don't know. I'm just not going to take a short price on that horse. Prefer the 1 over that horse. 3 just looks too slow. The 4 is currently 2-1. One of the favorites just broke his is her maiden. Okay. I mean, she's going to face winners for the first time. I don't want to take too short of a price on her. Now it's early, so those odds may not be reflected. No, she's getting. The 5 is the horse that's interesting, but I have heartache a little bit. This horse started a career, Plymouth's 2-year-old, around 69s, both first in the slop and on the turf. She ran pretty well in both her starts. They shipped her to New York for a stakes race. Okay. And look, she gets a B-, even though she finished 8th. And the note says, while in traffic, take it up and stretch. So she had trouble in a stakes race, and she still ran her best figure 8 ever, routing on the turf. Okay. And it was off a layoff. Then they put her in the Ginger Brew, which is a really tough race. And she doesn't run that well, and she runs a slow figure. Now, I'm just thinking they thought so highly of this horse that in our 3rd race, they put her in a stakes race. Now they're dropping a tag for the first time. I just thought there'd be more conditions they try. She's coming off a 145-day layoff, so I'm a little heartburned, but class-wise, and let's look at the V-bars. When you click V-bars, and what are the V-bars? This is just a bunch of different handicapping categories. And, we usually default on speed figures. And there's different, you see these little subcategories under speed in the last race, and this just compares horses to one another. Let's compare class competition. And you can see all the bars above 0 are positive. So this horse dominates on class, fast enough to win this race, proven at the surface and distance, maybe potentially can get an early lead. To me, this horse to beat. I'm just a little concerned about the drop. I just thought they might try different, but maybe they really believe that this is the right spot for her. It does fit. It is. It does fit her. I'm just surprised after being so aggressive early on with her in terms of going to stakes races, they're going to drop her in a claim. So that's the only question mark I have. She's currently 5-1, but that would kind of be the play for me in this race. So the 1 and the 5 are the interesting horses in this race. So I have to think about how to maybe play this. This is the last race, so maybe kind of use both of them. Maybe an exacta box, and then maybe play around with, first and third, and kind of in trifectas with those two. Maybe a 1-5, all 1-5, and then 1-5 exacta box, and then 5 to win would be kind of the way to go for me. But yeah, so that's race 8. It's 9 minutes out. We're 4 minutes out on race 8 at Woodbine, where we said it's kind of leaning on the number 7 as an alternative to the 1. So currently the 7 is 7-2. Let me go back to Woodbine because they're close. Okay, there we go. See if there's any questions. Yeah, there's some questions. Okay. Many compliments on the OptixEQ data combined with the interpretation of the race shape. So thank you, Jet. Maybe show that so you can see it. Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of pretty good. Nailed that Preakness. Now, from a bet perspective, I made some money on the race, but could have made a lot more. I was just trying to play Epicenter, getting out of second, but he's just a classy horse and showed me. But I think we were right about a couple of things. And then I think the 9, our Skippy horse, didn't get the best of trips. There's some other horses that didn't get the best of trips in there, but 5 was a deserving winner, and it was a good race. It was a good Preakness, I thought. Any more questions? Okay, no. So here we are. This is Woodbine, 2 minutes out. The next race after this I wanted to look at was Churchill 2. So let's just Churchill 1 again. This was the race with all the scratches. They're off the turf, and it's not a bettable race in my opinion. That's a race you pass unless you have some real strong. It's only a 4-horse field, and from our perspective, the plot's a mess. There's only the 7 and the 8 look like dirt horses, and I didn't like them, and I thought that was a good kind of play against. It could have really eliminated a lot of the field when it was originally targeted with turf, because a lot of those horses were just dirt horses. But now that it is on dirt, it's kind of changed the dynamic. Don't really like anybody in particular. But I'll after the Woodbine race goes off, let's go to race 2 at Churchill. I'll show you some things there that are kind of interesting. Okay. If you're new to optics, you can go visit our website at OptixEQ.com. Let me show you this. A lot of people ask about, how do I use things, whatever. Great information here on the website. Go to the plot, and just a treasure of information. Quick reference guide. So if you want to just know what all these things mean on the plot, and if you ever spend some time looking at it, it's pretty cool, because there's a lot of unique stuff on here. I know people just kind of go sometimes to the circles and squares, but there's a lot of wealth of information on the plot, the V-bars, the table, just good stuff. And it's all explained what it all means. We talked about this whole thing about fit and lining up on the white bar, and these V-bars and all the categories. And, really a lot of good information. It's a great way to handicap visually versus kind of drudging through data. User guide, and then there's videos here to kind of show you some introductory things, how to read the plot and all the rest. All good stuff. Hopefully you get a chance to take a look at that and give it a whirl, try to understand a little bit more about optics. Sometimes with these videos, we go into depth and kind of lose people, who are new. But stick with it. If you just pick up 1 or 2 things, and then you complement it with reading this or using it on your own, or looking at some of the more basic videos, I think things will come to you. And once they come to you, I think you'll be really excited to use the product. It's my opinion. It's just basically based on experience. That's what we see with people. When they put the time in and do it, and don't get intimidated by it, don't get scared off by it, they do well. And then there's a day when it pops. It's like, I get it. I get what you're trying to do. It's that crazy. Okay, they're off at Woodbine. It looks like the 3 is trying to make the lead. Getting some pressure from the inside. 1's stalking a good trip. And 7 is alongside the 1. 1's making kind of a little bit of a middle move, moving up into the pocket down on the backstretch. So it's 3 pressed by the 9, right? I mean, you could see the plot's kind of working. The 1's pocketed. The 7's a little bit mid-pack inside. And yeah, so they're rounding the turn at Woodbine. 3 still in the lead. 1's just getting a great trip. The 7 is starting to move up a little bit. It's kind of moved outside of horses now. But it looks like this 9. It's going to be tough to run. 3, 9. And here we go in the stretch. 9. Yeah, here comes the 1. And 7 is kind of running a little bit too late, it looks like, to get there. But I don't know. 9 is slowing. Oh, here comes the 1. 1 gets up. 7 just started his run a little bit too late. Got up for 3rd. So it was 1, 7, 9. Fairly logical. I guess I didn't give him enough 9. I mean, I probably should have spent a little more time on the 9. But again, trying to go through lots of races at the same time, so it's sometimes a little difficult to catch everything. But when you're doing this, focus on your track. That's the way to go. So I'm going to go to race 2 while we got some time here, waiting for the Gulfstream race, which is about 3 minutes out. And again, on the Gulfstream race, I was keen on the 5 and the 1 being the value horses in that race. Okay, currently 5 and 8 to 1 respectively. So let's go to Churchill Downs race 2, because I thought it was a little bit of an interesting race. So Churchill Downs Race 2 is a low-level maiden claimer, so it's a $10,000 race. Not your best horses and stuff. And when you look at the plot, it says contention high and the speed rating low, and you got some horses that are going to fight for the early lead, it looks like. Now, the thing is you notice this RPM, which is the Optics run style plot match. So you're just looking for run styles here, and 2 and the 7 only really ones with established run styles. So it's really hard to make a lot of try to understand how the race is going to be run when you don't really know how the horses like to run. So in this case, I'm going to really rely more on the grid, which would be more the form cycle, stuff like that. So I'm going to switch over to the grid. Make sure this race 2, yeah. So I'm going to start with the number 2. Fairly interesting. This horse ran on synthetic in his debut and ran a pretty good number. Was in a duel and held pretty well. 14-1, so it didn't get overplayed. But that level 15,000 is below Churchill's level, right? So this is a tier down. Even though it's on the same circuit, basically, turfway races are not as difficult. And you can see this is a number called the Optics fig range, and those are the speed figures that we projected that race to be run at, and they over exceeded that. So it was that kind of tells me the field maybe was not as strong going in, as opposed to the last race this horse ran, which was Keeneland, facing much better horses, and he just did nothing, no running that day. So maybe you could say, well, the drop and everything. I don't know. It all depends on price. It's not a horse I'm crazy about, but if this horse gets anywhere near back to that 77, obviously he's a win contender. Okay, just I don't know. I mean, was it the synthetic? Don't know. And some of these horses that come out of Turfway Park run big numbers, don't duplicate them elsewhere. So something to watch. Again, it depends on price, depends on some other things. But for me, my initial assessment. The 3 slow out of the gate both times and regressed in the second race. Not much to like there. The number 4, looks like this horse ran against much better in debut, and Churchill didn't run particularly that well. Let's see if that horse was bad. Was not bad either. So he tried this horse now going long on the turf. Had some issues in that race. Trouble to start, rushed. Let's look at the extended comment. Fractures in the gate, bobbled before getting dueled. I don't think this horse ran all that bad and improved figure 9. Now with the drop, the switch back to dirt. Maybe this horse is worth looking at in this race. Probably going to be a decent price coming off a layoff. Let's look at the raw works coming into this race. So if you click that button, you get the the workout tab. Yeah, this horse is running. It's working consistently. A horse I would consider. Because this is a horse that if this horse can continue to improve off that 68. Again, the range is 69 and 77, contender, and probably be a decent price. The 5, this horse is a horse I don't particularly like, and I think it's 3-1, and maybe he's going to get played. Really hasn't shown all that great improvement. It was routing, and then when they switched his horse, it looked like this horse wanted to go shorter because he improved. But his 2 races, even though the numbers fit, they weren't anything to write home about. They're at the 10 today's level. This is a horse that I think will be undervalued in race 2 at Churchill. Number 6 was a horse I thought was a little bit interesting. Here's a horse that started his debut at this track. Now this one was at 4-year-old gelding. So slow out of the gate, made a middle move, and then the drop. Now watch the extended comment, because this is why you have to read these extended comments. Possibly had some useful speed if given some class relief. So that's why this suggestion was dropped. They did not drop this horse. What they do, they kind of put him up. You could argue maybe it's a lateral move, would move that Oakland. I don't know, but it's obviously, especially if it was state bred, but still didn't get the drop that it was expected. The horse was in traffic, made a move, did some running. So if you can project improvement off of normal improvements, first race to second race, now with the drop all the way down to 10, This horse is another contender. It's going to be a good price. So for me, 6 is a contender, win contender in race 2. 7, kind of an interesting bump up. Horse didn't run all that well. It's kind of a subpar effort now. He's going to kind of get some more class relief. Okay, but he's already kind of lost at this level. But he's fast enough. I just don't know. We'll look at the board with the value, but I think the value is going to be with the 6 and the 4 in race 2 at Churchill. So we'll look at the board when it comes up. Okay, so looks like in race 1, the 1 and 7 are battling to the wire. It looks like the 1's going to come up inside to win that race. Okay, 1-7. We passed on that one. Let's go to Gulfstream. We're about loading into the gate in race 8. I may be a little behind you on video, so if you hear me cheering or saying something, say, what's he talking about? So just keep that in mind. Okay, I've got some other questions. I'll take the questions. Let's watch this race first at Gulfstream, and I'll take some questions that we have out there. Okay, they're off. Looks like the 7s. Let me get to the plot that we're looking at here. It looks like the 7 made the lead. Now, I would have wanted the 5 to make the lead. But so that's kind of a negative for the 5. The 8 is tracking. And so is the 6. So the 5 is not covered. Look like this horse has the potential to get caught very wide around the second turn. 7 made the pretty easy lead here. But now he's getting pressed. 4 is trying to move inside the 5 on the turn. Yeah, I don't like the 5 chances from here because of the way he runs. But he needs to kind of be 4. The 7's done. 4 is getting some kind of trip here. And the 5's getting caught really wide. This is not the trip I expected from the 5. And the 1's not doing really much running from behind. So it looks like the 8's going to push past. The 4 is going to make one more run here. And get, looks like, boy, really disappointing that 4 didn't. He went to the inside. He's not even he might have gotten the place really close. 5 was 4. Disappointing, right? I think the 5 lost the race when he didn't make the lead. In fact, I'm just going to go back because I missed the beginning of the race, how he broke out of the gate. It's so important to start a race, especially when you're on a speed horse or a horse that needs to be forward. Could change the whole complex of the race. And the 1 did not do anything. The 5 broke good. 5 broke good. 7 was asked. The 5 wasn't asked. 5 wasn't asked for speed. I don't know if it would have made a difference anyway. 8 looked best. Okay, let's get some questions here. So 1 is, okay, someone said that the rod function, rod function is a tool. What filters do you default to if you're driving? Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, that's a good thing. Let's go to it. I think it's the best way to look at it. So what he's talking about is when you select if you go in, you need to have a notes subscription. And if you do, you can go and look at this thing called Rod. It was like kind of a race of the day. And then we'd read, then we've named it because Rod, eyes, optics, rods are the things that make you see multidimensional, I think. Yeah, kind of real clever there. More clever than we need it to be. So this takes a little bit to load. I'm on a slower machine too, but what it does, it loads every horse for the day that you bought it. And so like this date is the 26th. And then what it does is it allows you to filter this big table once it's loaded. Yeah, I'm on a real slow machine. Sorry about that, folks. But And then what it allows you to do is allows you to filter. And then you can put the filters right up here on top, whatever. And if you want to understand what those filters are, there's a dictionary that tells you all that. But we have filters here that allow you to do this yourself. And so one of the things I look for always is kind of green keyword in last race. What is that? Is like when we look at notes and we take these keywords and look at them, we analyze them too. Mostly quarterly, whatever, over a period of time to see which ones are performing. So we're looking for like the next race out. Does a horse improve speed figure wise? Is the horse in the right place? Does the horse win more? Those kinds of things. We use kind of a mix and match of things. But what we're trying to say is that when we see that green keyword, we're expecting the horse, if he's in the right spot, to do something. And if it's red, it's usually the opposite. So if you go to green keyword in last race, it just gives you horses that might be on the improve, right? So it's, that's kind of what we do, and that's what we're kind of looking at. So that's one, I guess. Someone asked what the filters we use. That's one of them. Okay. Another one that I might use is I just might say green keyword, and I don't care which race it was, because I may be able to ascertain there maybe the horse had a green keyword. And then maybe the recent races weren't the right surface and distance or class. And so, you get that green keyword, it's hidden. Okay. So that's another approach I use. So that's one. And then if you're looking, trying to beat favorites, you might want to look at red keywords. And then maybe, let me stay on the filters here. Let me see, notes, red keyword in last race. And then I might want to look at the odds of the horses. So I want to look at low price horses. And so that might be another approach. So there's so many different things you can do. I can spend like a week talking about this and figuring certain things out, because there's so much information. We got the plot information and everything. So have at it. What we did in this last version is we really bolstered up these filters, these kind of, I would say, specific filters for different things. And you can combine the filters, obviously, as you use them. Okay. All right. Thank you for that question. It's a good question. Okay. Then we had another question about, on the Preakness. Yeah, I don't know if we call it bounce. I think what we really said was she has like that one run and then she flattens out. And I don't think that one run into a faster pace versus the boys was going to do it. And so, I get your point, but that's really it's kind of our style. Didn't suit the race more so than I think our bouncing. Race, it's off the turf. It's still showing race as it's still on. I was looking at scratch horse and why doesn't. I'll look at that in a second. Let me see. Someone's asking about race 6. I'll come back to that. Okay. Here's another one. A guy he also starts with GW. Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Okay. I'll look at race 6 here. Talk about race 6. We'll go to Indiana. Sometimes we get where we get information for could be wrong too. We don't have time to correct all the people that source this information. So maybe we didn't get this information from them. You saying the horses did not get scratched at all in that race? I will check. I will check on that. I don't know. Unless it was late, so I don't know. But if it was early, we should have gotten it. It all depends on. I'm not going to name our source, but they should get it right. But we can't. All this kind of stuff is automated. We just don't do some of this stuff manually. Just don't have enough resources to do that. So not going to. Then we're going to go to race 2 is coming up at Churchill. So we'll refer back to that, and then wanted also. So we're done with. Indianapolis. Penn is a track I'll look at. Churchill we're going to look at. Woodbine we're done with. Gulfstream we're done with. Canterbury. Okay, so Canterbury, race 1. And this used to be my home track. I lived in Minnesota for a little bit, and used to go to Shakopee all the time. I lived in kind of Minneapolis area, and took the ride out there. Great little track. A lot of fun to be there. Good people. Just a great experience. And then you get a chance. People that do that track thing where they want to go to every track, don't leave this one off your list. It's a good track. Okay, so race 1 to me, let me look at my notes here on race 1. Yeah, I think that what I thought initially was I thought that there was a potential for the 1. He's like a lone Q1. Well, I guess the 3's on it on standard, but the 4 is also is going to be the favorite. It's going to have pace. I'm just wondering, could the 1 take it to him early and win the race? As even if he's the second or third choice, there's value in the doubles and in the other doubles and trifectas or pick 5, whatever it is, in multi-race bets, trying to beat the 4. Now the 4, it's got the big box, but the 1 has better middle race speed according to the way they plot. So can the 1, if the 1 can make the lead from the inside, maybe he can put some pressure on run a quick middle part of the race and go on with it. That would be the guess. Because that looks like the only kind of possibility. Nothing else seems kind of interesting, unless the 1 and 4 really hook and it could set it up for someone. But even the 3 and the 5. 3 might be in a good spot. 5 looks a little vulnerable, and the 2 a little bit, even though the 2's a square, he's kind of a little bit vulnerable. I mean, maybe the 3 could set a perfect trip would be the other thing in this race. So, maybe if I'm playing a double, I try to key the 1, back up with the 3, without even looking at the form. But let's look at the, when I got to go put my channel on here for Canterbury. And when the odds come up, we can take a look at that. Canterbury. Oh, there we go. Canterbury Park. Just lovely this time of year. Okay. Any more questions out there? Okay, yeah. Okay, so ADM race on synthetic, I have found you can get good prices when turf horses are bet over synthetic horses. Yeah. Well, here's the question from Aaron. Good buddy. Yeah, handicap race. Yeah, I think there's an opportunity in synthetics. Especially, I've been starting to do notes actually for Gulfstream starting like about a month ago, and I just think there's lots of opportunity with synthetic. I like the synthetic racing there. It's a little bit different than I've experienced elsewhere, and I think it's. Here's my opinion of synthetic. It's not turf. I think that's the wrong thing. I think people think, synthetic racing is just like turf racing. I disagree. What synthetic racing has that's similar to turf racing is the way they run the race. In other words, the pace, the way they kind of, go around the track, the dynamic, where they're kind of more bunched and more kick. But it's not the same surface. So I think it's just the dynamic, the pace dynamic, the race dynamic that's similar to turf. I think that's what confuses people. That's my opinion. A little bit I've been kind of really trying to sink my teeth in. And again, I remember at the end of Santa Anita and Hollywood when they both had synthetic and had those tracks perfect. I thought it was kind of the best racing, most competitive racing. You could win pretty much anywhere. Sometimes, especially with dirt, you get the kickback. And it really makes it difficult for horses who are trying to close into that, especially stalkers and stuff like that. So, I mean, you can keep the track as, I guess, as wet as possible. That's to me, I still think synthetic racing will evolve, and I still think if it does, and I think they've done a good job. So kudos to Gulfstream so far with their experiment. Okay, good question. Okay, all right. So yeah, Emily's been doing a lot of. Aaron says she's got some good ones at Woodbine. Yeah, they've had it a while there, so she's familiar with that surface. Yeah, I think you have to really dig in. I think you're really vulnerable if you don't have a set of notes and you're trying to deal with synthetic races, because it is about trips. Because in that sense, like again, the dynamic's more like turf, so you want trips more than anything. You want to stay covered up. You want to make one run. Where in dirt racing, if you get covered up, sometimes, like I said, you get kicked back and you have to deal with some of the things, mud or other. You can see there is kickback with turf race, but I've been watching it, like it drops. It depends on the track too. It kind of kicks up and then drops, or you can see it doesn't really have an impact when it hits some of these horses. It doesn't fly the same way. It doesn't fly directly. It doesn't shoot back into the horse's face. Kind of almost like just goes up and drops. Maybe it's a weight thing. Maybe the surface is weightier or less weighty. I don't know. Maybe it's lighter. I don't know the details. What I would love to do one day is do an interview with a bunch of track people who deal with all different types of tracks. It'd be really interesting to get their perspective on all this, because they would be coming at it from a different angle, and it would be interesting to me, right? It wouldn't just be about betting, and because sometimes I think we get we get our biases and we get locked in, like everything, and we just kind of get locked in. And sometimes when you get a perspective other than a horseplay, like somebody out, a trainer, or and you get something different, it's good. Not to say it's like the right thing, but it's just like it just maybe opens your mind and look at things a little bit different. Okay. All right, so we're going to Churchill. We're 9 minutes out to race 2. I think I mentioned. I was just looking at it. So 15 minutes out at Canterbury, and okay, that'll take some time before we get to that. But so let's go race 2. Okay, so I was talking about this race and kind of made the case for the 4 and the 6. But 6 was kind of my key horse in this race, and he's a big price. He's 12-1. 4 is 7-2. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's simple in this race. I would key around the 6, win bet, definitely. If you're maybe so inclined to get this horse maybe third, maybe you kind of use the 4. I would use the 4. I'd be against the 3 in this race. So I'd be tossing the 3, and then basically maybe using maybe all 4, 6, or something. Something where I would get the 6 in all the slots, and then maybe the 4. So again, all in one slot, 4 in another slot, and the 6 in first, second, and third, something like that. So win bet definitely on the 6 at that price when it would full around, and then maybe something like 4 all 6 and 4 6 all, or 4. Nah, maybe not. I wouldn't do 4 6 all. I do 4 6 exacta. I do 4 6 exacta. So 6 to win, 4 6 exacta box, and then something like 4 all 6 and all 4 6, something like that. I don't know. I don't know if there's even value in that. But yeah, I just try to get maybe even the super here. I would try to get the 6 at least in the top 3 slots at that price. I think he's a little sneaky, and for people who came in late, I want to know why I thought the horse was a little sneaky. Well, first of all, let's start with. I want to just show you what the numbers, right? So 72 is kind of the number of the best last number. So the range is 69 to 77. So that's what we're looking for a horse to run. So, I explained why I thought that this 4 could improve on a 68. And again, when you really want to get the prices in handicapping, is you got to do some projections, but your projections got to be based on something that's viable. Now, it doesn't always work, but that's why we have these notes, because we can project horses going forward. So this horse ran a 64 his debut against $50,000 level at this track. Okay. And again, the note said possibly has some useful speed if given some class relief. So right off the bat, I thought this horse might be useful. Horses tend to improve from their first to second race, and they can improve as much as 18 points. That would put this horse in the 80s. Okay, I'm not saying that's what he's going to improve. Let's say if he even improve like 12 points. He's right in the mix to win this race. Then they lay him off, and then they bring him against. Now, again, class-wise, it's much bigger purse. It's hard to, it's a maiden special at Oaklawn during their championship meet, their meet, their big meet. And this horse had traffic and made a move before flattening out. So now another layoff. This horse is back, and now he's in for the lowest level. Just trying to project them above the 64. And again, this field is so soft in terms of numbers that he's worth a shot, especially at that kind of price. So 4 and 6 for me in race 2, 5 minutes out. I think the other track that I wanted to kind of look at was, I know a lot of you probably don't play it, but again, what I'm trying to do is show you how to use some of the product here. I think it's Penn National. I don't know if it's, I was finding some of these tracks. It's difficult for me on this. I mean, you name a lot of these tracks too. I'm not finding it on the, so let me bring it up here on my other machine. So I looked at Penn National races 2 and 3 because I'm going to show you plot-wise. I thought those races had a tendency for meltdown. Maybe not a meltdown, but at least an off-the-pace flow. Let's put it that way. Meltdown might be extreme. I guess Penn National starts at 5:30. They start airing. So, okay, so we'll come back to that one, but almost ready for race 2, and then race 1 at Canterbury is 44 minutes out. Anybody else have a race they want to look at? Okay. Any questions, concerns? Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, yeah, by the way, I just put this out there. I'm going to do a Optics Focus special. So if you buy silver package, which is notes for the day or the week or the month or the year. So if you go there, I'm going to be offering a free Optics Focus report for the last 6 races with the wagering guide for Santa Anita, big day. I think there's 3 grade 1s. I don't know if all grade 1s are in the pick 6, but just thought it was looked like a robust day on Monday. That's Memorial Day, May 30th. So if you do buy one of those, if you buy one of these silver packages, it has to be active that day, obviously, on May 30th, and you'll get the focus report for free. Really good. I think people who bought it for the Triple Crown like it. A lot of good feedback. And we're trying to figure out how we can do something on a more regular basis and maybe full card focus. Still working through it. But I think it's a product that's, pretty good. It's well done. And people that use it seem to really enjoy it. So. Okay. So just where we are, I'm gonna again take it through Canterbury 3 because I think Canterbury 3's got a horse that's got some potential, or was it? Yeah. Okay. So it's Penn National race 3. There's a real live long shot, I think, in race 3 there. We got to see the changes and scratches, something changed. But looks like an off-pace kind of horse. And so we'll come back to that. Hopefully everyone was here for that first race when we, with the 1 and the 3. Horse kind of identified there in Indianapolis. Okay. Go to so this is race 2. Yeah. So again, we were interested in the 4 and the 6 here. So the 6 was the price horse. Get ready. They're 1 minute out. Race 2. It just seems like Kentucky, it rains a lot there, doesn't it? Cold Kentucky rain, like Elvis' song. And but I'll tell you, that track really does do a great job of drying out. Just amazing, just amazing. I'm so glad to see that the Derby wasn't run under adverse conditions. It would have been another excuse for everything. But yeah, I just it was good to just see that. It could be depressing sometimes, I think. We had that one stretch where the Derby just seemed like it was compromised by water. Mind that bird and that Pletcher horse that won up the inside. So yeah, it's good to see a fair track, at least. Nuclear pace, but a fair track. Yeah, we'll be doing a Belmont thing too, so Belmont package, and we'll do a video leading up to the Belmont, preview it. I started looking at some like past Belmonts and seeing where winners are coming from. Kind of interesting. Looks like quadrant 4 and 1 are the dominant ones, and squares are dominant. Squares are pretty much, other than 1 year when circles actually finished first, second, and third, circles only finished in the money in another race since 2016. So you want to be a square basically, and quadrant 1 and 4 is where the win profile has been mainly in the Belmont right now. In fact, quadrant 4 is really, because quadrant 4 usually doesn't win the major amount of races, but it does in the Belmont right now. It'll be interesting to see how that plots out. So they're in the gate at Churchill. I'm gonna go to mine. And they're off. Five has got the lead. So he's kind of pulling kind of out of his saddle a little bit. So Lake Tahoe and Lake 4 is stalking. 6 is making an inside run here. It's a fast pace. This should only help the 4 and 6 here. Let me do one of those reaction videos, like the other people react. 4's got aim. 4's got aim on the 5. Looks like the 5 is kicking. 5 is really kicking home now. The 6 might get into the number. It's just kind of plotting. It's going to finish 4th, looks like. So it's 5, 4, 2, 6. 6 was just plotting, just didn't. Yeah, just kind of one pace. No one gaining. That was a fast pace, and they slowed down and just seemed like it'll be interesting to watch the races there, going forward, because it just seemed like the 5, who was kind of on the rail, did good. 2 kind of did good up the rail. 2 kind of hung, because it looked like 4 and 6 were in good shape there, and it just kind of flattened out, especially with the pace. So I'm just wondering if the inside is okay there, because we just talking about wet tracks, and I mentioned that because I thought both a couple of those times where the inside was good, Mind That Bird, and trying to think of that one. A couple of Pletcher horses, Always Dreaming was one of them, came up the inside. Just think that track kind of does okay when it gets wet inside, which is kind of the opposite of Belmont. On the inside, you want to kind of stay away from. Well, it depends on the track watching these races. But yeah, then it was 44.92, and then it came home 111.31. So the race slowed down. You would think that, especially the way the kind of race looked, that they would be catching the 5 in the stretch. And looked like they gave them every chance, and they just didn't do much running. So a little disappointed with that. Especially looked like the 4 and 6 were just sitting perfectly. But 5 and 2, again, I didn't watch the first race, but I just watched the stretch run. But I remember the 1 being inside of the 7 too. So something to watch for going forward at Churchill tonight is the inside better than the outside? And a guy like Corey Lannery will take very much advantage of something like that. So something to watch, because he just tends to be the Calvin Borel reincarnated. Loves to get to the stick, especially at Churchill. Pulled a lot of upsets coming up that rail. Something to watch. Okay. Next race up is, I said Indianapolis. I didn't handicap that race. I'll just take a quick look at it. Race 5. Horseshoe, okay. I'm glad they didn't change the label for the track here. It would cause me all kinds of reissues, redoing stuff. So thank God for that when they changed the name. So this is race. Got a big favorite, number 3. Race 5. Yeah, he plots pretty well. The 1 plot's okay too. This is a main special weight. Wow. Look, I get it. Sometimes I get it that these people 3, 2 to 5. I mean, I just can't get my head around it. It looks okay, but is he that much better than the 1 on numbers and plot? 4 is the other square in this race. I know. Do we have any firsters in this race? No. 2 is a little bit of a question mark coming off this long layoff. So, I guess my friend's trying to call. Yeah, I don't know. Don't look like a bettable race unless you think you can really beat the 3, and I'm not sure about that. Superfector came back $254 with a 5, 4, 2, and 6. So not too bad. If you went that route, I just thought that I'll get them both in there. So, but watch that inside it. I'll keep an eye on it. 33 minutes out of Canterbury, and yeah, this is a race where I just thought the 1, if he can just wing it and repel the 4 early, he could win. And then the other option would be maybe the 3 just sits one of those trips and picks them up if they really go at it. And he's the first, gets the jump on the 2 and the 5. So, maybe a double with 1, whatever in the second race. Don't have a strong opinion in the second race, no. And then 1, 3 with having a backup and maybe trying to get the 1 in there again, so you get multiple bets with the 1, something like that. Yeah, I'm watching that race again. I know I keep harping on this, but it's important. Sometimes the best opportunities is when you're watching a bias. You can always take advantage of a bias in the future by keeping notes. That's what we do. So if you have a bias, you could look and say, hey, this horse had favorable race because he was with the bias or against the bias, or unfavorable because he was against the bias. But some of the best money I ever made was kind of jumping on a bias before like everyone else jumped on it. But it's really tricky. You got to really kind of understand and really handicap the races to do that. It's not just, this horse got the lead. I'm just guessing. I want to watch that next race. The only problem is sometimes with biases, like you got to understand, you need the people have jockeys and so forth that understand it and take advantage of it. But you can almost guess sometimes, especially if it's like speed is easy, speed or closer's bias, but a rail bias, it's not as easy. So, you got to just do some guessing a little bit, to be honest. So that's Canterbury. They're up. They're at the gate at Horseshoe. Is the 3 really worth 1 to 2 versus 3 to 1? Let me look at the grid because I just got to see if there's something else out there. It's got another wet track there. I wonder if they're, I haven't looked to see if there's anything going on in terms of an advantage or disadvantage with the track profile there. I mean, the one was in shortening up, third off a layoff, kind of runs in the 50s, ran a 59, 2 back, despite having trouble at the start. Racing, is the one? I mean, yes. I mean, looks like last year the 3 ran some faster races, but then kind of tailed off, came back off a 15-day layoff at 5.5 furlongs. Ran in the same race as the one. The run was slow, so you got trouble. The only problem with this one breaking from the rail looks like you get some trouble out of the gate. Boy, I wouldn't want to be taking 1 to 2 on the 3, that's for sure. Not sure I would be betting the 1 wholeheartedly, but it looks like nothing else in this race. If the 1 can break, Godspeed, and then maybe the 4 has some upside. I mean, that was a horse I may throw in there just because, especially in exotics, just because this horse ran at 51 as a 2-year-old. I mean, that was back in November. Maybe this horse would be worth a shot. Slow out of gate. Another horse that has some gate issues, obviously. But that was first off a layoff. Maybe Zos has a chance to kind of run back. Yeah, 1 and 4. Just that, just can't. I guess the other horses did too. Just don't know what this horse is coming back. So he's kind of an unknown. 1, 2, 4 in a box. Okay, they're off. Looks like the 6 is forward. He looks a little rank there. Looks like the 2 is moving up on the inside. 4 is way back. 6 made pretty easy lead. 4 just got shuffled. 2 just got shuffled back. It looks like the 3 is the only horse that could beat the 6 at this point. It's kind of moving up on him. I don't know. Now it looks like the 3 is going to run by the 6 here. 6 just didn't change leads. Looks like the 1 might run up into the exact thing. Because the 6 looks like he's backing the way up. Logical result here. Looks like it's going to be 3-1. Yeah. All right. Not a bettable race. Should know. Okay. Any questions out there? No? Everyone's content? Let's see. Penn National's on the board. Show you this Penn National. Let me show you a couple of things here. The first thing is if you're looking for certain races from a plot perspective that maybe a flow that could help closers, because let's face it, closers, it's hard to close in races. So sometimes you can get a price if you get the right race dynamics. So one of the things I do is I look at scan every day. And we just set this up so we got a filter. So one of the things you look for races where there's slow and there's fast-paced scenarios. So slow-paced scenario is going to favor horses forward, but there's none. So there's certain parameters we use, and there's just none. These are kind of looking for extreme ones, you know. Oops, that's fine. Okay, let me get back to my. Okay, sure. And in fast-paced scenarios. So we have one here, actually. Okay, so I looked at Penn National Race 2 and 3. Let me get the plots from this race. Let me look at Penn National. I may not stay on the whole time, but I want to at least get these as potential plays for you. Okay, so I thought this race had off the pace potential because even though it's a plot fit red, look at the contentions. It's heavy. You can see the 1, 4, and 5 are all E horses. That something's got to bust. So the 1 is 2 to 1, 4 is 8 to 1, the 5 is 5 to 1. Something's got to break. And I would say that just where these horses sit, both from XY axes, they're vulnerable, right? They need the lead. They're circles. They're going to contend with each other. It's going to set it up for a horse off the pace. Obviously, the 2 and 3 are the horses that look like the horses, okay? And so, that's where my focus would be in this race, 2 and 3. Let me see if I was able to distinguish between these two. I'm not sure if I went to that level of detail, but that's where I would ask you to start your handicapping. Really handicap the 2 and the 3, and see where it goes. The only thing is, oh yeah, here was the thing. The 3 looks to me to be a run style of an EP. So he's a horse that likes to stay close. So that would make him vulnerable in this spot. And so the 2, okay, would be the horse. He's the only PC in the race. So yeah, I would be focused on the 2 in this race. He's 5 to 2. He looks like the second choice in the race. We'll see where it goes, but he looks pretty solid. Looks like he's gonna get the pace scenario. The 3 likes to sit closer, and maybe he gets a little bit. He has to work a little bit harder to keep up with the early pace or get sucked in. I don't know. We'll take a look, but see his run style. Quadrant 4 is not good for a horse that's an EP. That's why you see red there for the 3. And you say the same thing for the 6. 2 is the play here. Even if the 1 wins the battle at the early pace, I think he's going to be softened up. So 2 in race 2, Penn National. And race 3, I thought was even better because I think there was a better price horse alternative in this race. And it's another race, high contention, high speed rating, pretty high speed rating. And look at the run styles. All E and EPs with the exception of the 3 and the 9. And look at the plot on the 9. He's a circle, the 3 is a square. It's just as simple as that. I think the 3 is the play in that race. Play around in the exotics with him. If you think the 6 is the horse that's going to win that early duel, the early part of the race, maybe the 2 or the 6. I don't know. Dig in a little bit on that, but I think the horse that'll be picking them up late, at least maybe looks like value at 10 to 1 to finish in the exotics. It would be the 3 Pacapos Sun Station. Okay. Pocop Sun Station, whatever it is. Looks like a horse that could sit the trip you see the 6 is a bigger square. He's closer. Yeah, obviously. But again, the 6's run style is to be close. And he's going to be close to a pace that's going to be quick. While the 3 can sit off things and make a late run and maybe picks up everybody. So, yeah. Something to look for there. There's value in the 6, though, too. I mean, at 6 to 1. I would look at this race closer, right? We'll look at this race closer, but I think the 1, the 6, and I think the 3 is looks like a horse that's got potential. This Autumn Lines just seems, because there's scratches. Watch this race. This race could be an interesting race. The board is going to tell you a lot in this race, and I just think I wouldn't go on the morning line because obviously the scratches affected the odds line. I hope, because it just looks off to me. If it stays that way, it looks like there's opportunity in lots of different places. Okay, so they're 21 minutes out from Canterbury. Went through the Penn National races 2 and 3, off-pace kind of races. Canterbury Race 3 was the other race that I thought was a little bit mildly interesting. Let's get back to Canterbury. And then I'm going to jump off after the Canterbury Race 1. It's 20 minutes out. I want to watch also race 3 at Churchill, see if our rail bias is continued. Yeah, so this race is kind of a mess from a plot fit perspective. It's red. Again, we've talked about this, not being the best fit, but just thought that there was enough contention and speed in this race to set it up for somebody from off the pace at Canterbury. And thought the horse that was a little bit interesting was the 1. Just more value in the 2 horse. He's, plots as a square, standard in quadrant 2 and square in quadrant 4. 2 is going to be more bad. He's come off a long layoff. The 1, is, essentially come out of a dirt race. And, let's just go to the grid here on that one. Thought he might just bring some value. Whoa. Again, we got, you have like an E horse, 3 EP horses, and then you got your closers. And it's just a matter of who you think's a better closer, who you think's more informed, who's a better price. And that's kind of like just what I was doing. The 1 is second race off a layoff, sprinted on dirt, getting back to routing on turf. Let's look at this horse's turf routes. And this horse has won before. Take a look at this horse when you go to fast pace. This horse has won 3 times, finished the money several times. I think he's going to get just that in this race. He's going to get a fast pace. Where the 2, under the same circumstances, it didn't run as well. So for me, it's the 1 in race 3. I think it's a horse you can key around in off the pace, 5-1 morning line. In Canterbury Race 3. A route on the turf that is good. Okay. And we're 18 minutes out. Churchill, they're 6 minutes out. Yeah, so I'm going to just take through Churchill 3 and then Canterbury 1. And again, just so we're clear, the horses on the Penn National races 2 and 3 look off the pace. Canterbury, the 1 off the pace in 3, and that's what we have. That's something to look forward to in the upcoming races in those venues. The Derby City Pool starts in race 3. I guess that's their pick 6 version. So again, just to remind you that we have that offer for the Optics Focus. And people don't know what Optics Focus is. Let me bring this up. Go here. Just want to see what it looks like. And you go to info, get info on every one of our products. We scan, even the one I looked at before. Rod, someone had mentioned earlier, had a question about. Focus, it's kind of something we're evolving. It's not like a full-fledged product we use. We do it on special days right now. We're trying to figure out what's the best way to kind of get this out on a more regular basis and do it kind of efficiently and consistently and all the rest. And really, but it's a chock full of information in a small report. You got everything from a race label, confidence, 0 to 100. Wager-wise, do you want this to be a spread? Is it a horizontal bet? Where you want to focus? Maybe some comments. And then it has great information about the horse in the last 3 races, plus our Optics Focus line, which gives our fair value assessment of what we think the odds should be on the horse. And all of this is explained too below here. So if you want to go here and try to understand a little bit more about what this information all means, we use our own handicapping kind of values and angles. They're all kind of laid out, so you'll see the information and no class edge or disadvantage. OptixFig fit today's OptixFig range, first time 2 turns, notes projects improvement, all stuff. We're not handicapped. We're handicapping all our stuff and assessing it for you. So, and it's in a kind of condensed report. And then when you look at it, you can really compare the fair value odds as we assess them to the morning line, and then eventually the post time odds. Okay, so they're 14 minutes out, Canterbury, and they're 2 minutes out in race 3 at Churchill. So I'm going to go flip over my computer to Churchill so I can watch that race. Again, Churchill, the people late to the game here, they're off the turf, and I would pay attention to the inside part of the track. Let's look at I'm going to just pull up race 3 so we can look at it. See if we can make any kind of assessment of, this guy's all firsters. All right, so you're going to want a horse with some speed. I think the one is 4 to 5. Yeah, if I remember right, I was looking at just the raw workouts on these horses, and it looked like the 1 or the 1.5. I forget which one kind of sparkled in just comparison. I mean, you don't have to have a clocker report. You don't have to. I'm not suggesting you shouldn't. They're good. There's some really good people that do that, and I look at them. So I don't mean that. I'm just saying I don't think you have to go that far when you kind of compare the workout, the patterns. And what I'm looking for when I look at these workout patterns, I'm looking for just kind of consistencies. It happens every week, every 6-7 days. I get turned off by workouts that a horse hasn't run. He's got like 15 workouts. To me, that turns me off. That means they're kind of, I don't know what they have. I don't know, maybe what it's just a negative to me. Trying to look at for workouts that are kind of like 4 or 5 furlongs for first time start. Also looking for gait workouts that the horse runs fast out of the gate workout. Looking like, for instance, the 5 is run well out of the gate. So you have always last 2 gate workouts. The last one was pretty good. And I'll show you here. I guess here's the one. Look at the gate workouts. This horse sparkled. It's got consistent works, but not too many. The other thing is, you want to see them kind of working out locally. I think, especially if it's a track. This is the training track, the CDT. But nice series of workouts, consistent. Got the sparkle. Got 4 furlong work. I guess this is what's this race? Oh, it's a 5 furlongs. So okay, so not having a 5 furlong workout for this race is fine with me because it's a short race. But yeah, I mean, the 1 looks pretty good. I thought the 5 had a good work. So there are 2 choices. So no big surprise, but just a way to assess this form. And they're in the gate. Just the 1 would have the advantage if he's, I don't know what post position. Oh, the 5 would probably be closer to the rail right now. So sees who gets the lead, gets over, maybe saves some ground. So 2 popped out. The 1A is being sent 5. I'll go for the lead here. So the 2's got the lead. Now, let's see what happens here. Really, 1 hasn't shown any speed. I wonder if he's handling the track. Five looks pretty good stalking this 2. 1 is staying to the inside though. And he's maybe 6, 7, 8 lengths off the pace. Look at this. So we left the rail open, and the entry is coming up. The 1's coming outside. It's going to be interesting. Wow, the entries 1, 1, 2, and the 1 was way out of it. Came up the inside. I still think that inside's pretty good, but the 1A was on the outside of the part of the track, not a game race. So the entry, the 4 to 5 entry is 1, 2. I didn't watch the 1A strip. I thought he was on the outside of the horse most of the way. I mean, these 2 really quickened. I don't know if they quickened or they're all slowed down. It's hard to assess the times right now with this track the way it is because I think it might be tiring. Because it looked like they almost like dropped anchor. The 2 and the 5 will look pretty good. It looked like they just dropped anchor. But I still pay attention to the inside. I mean, that's where the 1 was way back and rallied up, made a good late run, good extended run. I mean, he was in a drive for at least 3 furlongs. He was behind him. Let's put it this way. I don't think you want to be wide on this track. But, no, I mean, it is a, talking about 4 to 5 shot, so take that with a grain of salt, but still. 5 looked pretty comfortable, just kind of came back to the field. 9 minutes out. We're 3 to 1 on the 1. 4 is currently holding at the 7-5 favorite. So it was the 1 and 3. It was more about keying the 1, 3 as a backup, trying to beat the 4. If the 1 can beat the 4, the pace stool will keep going. Or you can put enough pressure to set it up for maybe the 3, which just could sit right behind those 2 and get first jump on the 2 and the 5. Be interesting to see. That 1A ran a good race. Like I said, I think I want to watch that race again because it's just, again, I think it's not a favorable part on the outside. He kind of did rally a little bit wide in that race, it just seemed like to me. They buried the horses behind him. Okay. You're getting ready for race 6. Let me see what happened here. Someone said that we didn't get the scratches for this. And the only thing I can think of, our source didn't pick them up. They were later in the day. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. I'm going to research that. Yeah, I ran it manually. Sorry about that. I should have ran that. We did get the scratches in. That was the race 6. Someone mentioned that we didn't get the update there. I don't know why that didn't run, but running it now, too late. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit. But okay. I don't know. Yeah, I can't even look at this race because it's off the plot's really not factor here. Okay. Well, Canterbury, we're 4 minutes out. That'll be it for me. Again, check us out, OptixEQ.com. If you have any questions, send us through our contact form. Just go to the website, and then you just hit contact us, and right here. And you just put your information. There's also helpful hints here. So sometimes if you're having a problem doing something, check here first. These helpful hints that'll help you. And look for us on Monday to do some of this focus stuff. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully we're coming into the Belmont. And then what we're going to probably do during Saratoga Del Mar, we're figuring out what day and stuff. We're going to probably do like a live broadcast, late races from Saratoga, early races from Del Mar. So, keep your eye out for that. We'll put out a note on that. So we're in race 1. And again, going forward, Penn National race 2, off pace potential. Oh, the odds are up there, race 2 at Penn. So let's look at what it is. We just ran the first. So yeah, we kind of honed in on it too. He's 4 to 5, so he's getting hit pretty hard. Didn't see the doubles, so be careful on that. 3 is 6 to 1. He's the other horse coming off the pace. So, but we didn't like him because of the run style matchup. So 2 was the just off the pace horse, and more interesting horse in race 3 was the 3. So, and then Canterbury Race 3, the interesting horse there, I believe also was the 3. Another off the pace horse, based on these high contention, high speed rating races, you always want to give consideration, and you always want to get a price with these kinds of horses too. Oh yeah, so in this race, I thought we had, wasn't the 3, was the 1, was the horse that we thought was interesting in race 3 at Canterbury, another horse off the pace potential in that race with a high contention, high speed rating, as you see. Okay, so we are 2 minutes out, and then we'll wrap it up. Oh, the other thing we mentioned as we were going through this, pay attention to, if you're going to keep playing the races at Churchill, consider the rail being good, or at least the outside maybe not as good. that seemed like to be the way the track's been playing through first 3 races. Okay. Well, thanks for being part of the broadcast and listening, and thank you for your support in business. Our clients who kind of watch this stuff. It's been quite a ride here, especially this whole first 5 or 6 years we've been doing this, and then this Triple Crown's been kind of wild, and hopefully we can keep doing it, and people are really kind of latched on to the things we're doing, and we're excited about that, and we feed on that. So thanks for all that feedback, and also your support. It's much appreciated for those people that do that for us. Okay, 1 minute. Let me bring up the Canterbury Race one somewhere. Yeah, if someone just dropped in here on this, I'm going to be signing off, but I wanted to, so I looked at this race. Looks like the 1, again, if this 1 can get out and clear, probably take some pressure from the 4. 3, I think, will be sitting just behind them. And if they do hook, he's got a shot, but playing it, key is 1, backup 3. Race 1 in my pick 3s, probably in my doubles here at Canterbury. Okay. Penn National Line really hammering it too, but it looks like on the doubles, he's close with the 1, so they'll probably be co-favorites in race 1. My guess is they'll both be around 8, 9 to 5, that kind of thing. It's my guess. So just keep that in mind when you're playing that. Still want to play a double, keying the 2. Fine, I don't know. It's not a race particularly you want to just jump in. It just looks like the 2 is going to get the flow. It's like the worst to beat to me. Just don't know. I guess to me a fair price on that would be 8 to 5. I don't know if you're going to get it. You might. Yeah, you might, actually. Let's see if they're both 8 to 5. That would be 30. Yeah, possible. Got a little delay here at Shakopee, Canterbury Park. Canterbury has, I don't know if he's still there. I assume he is. Allen. Paul Allen? No, I don't know. Okay, I know that Microsoft guy's Paul Allen, but I think he is, right? He's the Vikings announcer, and he does the calls for Canterbury's, one of the most colorful announcers there is. Track announcers, I think. I like listening to him. Like I said, I spent about 4 years there, living there for 4 years. It's a great place. Great place to raise a family too. At least it was. This is going back to the early 2000, 2004. Good schools. Just too damn cold for me. Okay, they're going into the gate at Canterbury. We're looking for the 1 to kind of get out here. The 3 to stalk. The board is pretty even between the 1, 4, and 5 in terms of price. Back in. Small field. Contentious. 1. Can he clear off? That's the key here. He's being asked. They're going to send. 4, really. I don't know if he got off bad or something happened, but he's back. So the 1 did make the lead, which is what we needed him to do. Now let's see if he can hold it. 5 to 2. He's being pressed by the 2. dueling, getting good pace pressure. 3's sitting the trip. 5 is also stalking. Fast opening quarter. 4 is way back, but he may be getting pace to run. He's starting to run now on the turn. So, okay, so the 4 just put away the 2. 3's coming up the rail. 5's on the outside of the 1. And the 4's starting to make a move. He's under the whip. This 3's sitting chilly right now. Just wonder if he's got any run. 5 is just engaged the 1. 3's coming up the inside, but he don't look like he has enough. The one is just taking the 5 into the outer rail. He may win the race, but he may not even win the race, but he may be taken down anyway. He didn't win the race. I think he won the photo, but I think they'll take a look at that one. He really drifted badly. And he herded the 5 all the way to the outer rail, so would be surprised if they look to go into that one. I think the 1 won the photo. It's close. They got the finish on. I mean, they got the camera on both of them after the race. The 3 had like a perfect inside trip, just wasn't good enough. And the 4, I don't know what happened to start, but something happened. But I don't know where the line is. I mean, that's the one thing about racing. I mean, I think they could do something with, I watch those races from Europe and they have that overhead line and you just know right away who won the race. You know where the line is. Here in the States, it's like every track is different. Like, where's the wire? Where's the camera? Where's what? I have no clue. I think I see the 5 on the Gallup. I see, at least he's talking to the guy. He's talking to the 1. So you're going to see an inquiry here, pretty sure. Pretty sure you can see an inquiry. Look to, again, don't know where the angle is, but look like the 1 did hold on. Still a photo. And we'll be dropping out at this race. Again, nothing really kind of interesting. The 2 look again bet heavily, but no, I think fair value on the 2. Penn race 2 would be 8 to 5. The 1 in race 3 at Canterbury, and then number 3 in race 3 and Penn looked interesting from a plot perspective. Is an inquiry, yeah. So they'll take a look at this one, and there are definitely some hurting that went on here in the stretch. I don't know why they showed the back stretch. Oh, they show it early in the race? I mean, maybe this had to do with the 4 because they're showing out of the gate. Oh, the 4 clipped heels. 5 came over, but and the 3 was coming over. I don't know what you're gonna do about that. They're both ahead of the 4 at the time. I thought the inquiry would be more like in the stretch run. I don't have the sound on, so it could be in both places actually, because they keep showing. Yeah, I think. So that's 1. It looked like, but again, to me, it looked like the 4 was behind those horses. So I don't think they could take any action. Now here we go. Here's the herding. I mean, look like definitely. I don't know what they're gonna do here. I don't know. This is interesting. I don't know what they're gonna do. It looks like to me, the 1 was definitely drifting. It didn't look like the 5 was giving up much room. I don't know if he really impeded him. Kind of leaning on him. I don't know what they're gonna do. That's a tough call. That could go either way, in my opinion. I don't think the trouble early on would make a difference. That one's gonna watch. That one will take under and over on that one will be like about 10 minutes at least. I take the over, and because that's a hard one to assess. All right, I'm done, folks. Thanks for listening. Oh, wait. Got some things here. Oh, from, yes, Paul Allen. Thanks. All right, thank you. Absolutely. Paul Allen is the man. He's excellent. And he's also the Vikings announcer. Canterbury. Oh, I mean, what do everyone think on the inquiry? One or does the one come down or not? Thumbs up, thumbs down, the one. So the 4 is included. So I guess I'm not listening to the objection, but I assume the beginning is the first thing, and then so here's a thing where they may make no change, because I know that sounds convoluted, and it's not logical. But like, oh, so the 5 might interfere with the 4, and the 1 might interfere with the 5, but since we're going to wash it, and not do anything. I don't know. It could go either way. I mean, he definitely did hurt that horse, but it just don't look like he impeded him. And the 5 had every chance to just go by that horse. It wasn't like he didn't have a chance to go by him. Just kind of hung around. He couldn't separate from him. Even where, like, when he started trying to even drift, when he was kind of moving out a little bit more, the 5 held his ground and kind of like didn't move. Man, I'll tell you. Since I like the 1, I bet the 1. I take I say no change. Let's see. I'm going to just hang on here because we got only 6 minutes out at pen. Let's see if we can get that 2 comes up. It's even money right now, and the 1 is 8 to 5. I think they're going to be closer to that. Both closer to 8 to 5 than, or 7 to 5 and 8 to 5, and then an even money. Wow. Does anyone know if we're over under the 10 minutes? I hope you get it. I hope that one stays up for your sake. Just got someone who's keyed the 1 in all the pick 4s. I don't know. You got a chance here. The longer it takes, the better, too, by the way, in this situation. I think better for the 1. Because they're just, it's not like they're going to move. I got to assume that they ignored that other thing going on after the start. Because, the 4 was behind the horses. He just tried to run up on them. He's looked like almost clipped heels. But they keep looking at that. They may be done with the other part of this. Because it looks like the last 2 times I've looked up and they're watching the race, it looks like they're watching that start. But this would be great. This is where the drone would help a little bit. Because to me, it looks like the 4 doesn't. He's behind them. And he tries to go through them. To me, that's a non-event. Unless have another. I don't know. Is there? I didn't look at the other angle. I was going to look at the head-on. Maybe you can look at the pan on that one. I didn't look at it. It looks like they've already decided on the other thing. They just haven't told us. Oh, no, they're running the whole. I don't know what takes so long with this kind of stuff. I really don't. How many times could you look? The more times you look at it, the more, I think, tainted you get. You have to look at this maybe once or twice, in my opinion, and And the other thing is when they talk to jockeys, I don't know how relevant is that. You're going to have someone who's going to, are they really going to tell you the truth? I don't know what the point of that is either. Getting the jockey's perspective. What is he going to say? This is like the videotape in football. It's like you watch the videotape, and the more you watch, the more you slow it down, the more confused you get. You start coming up with things like, is it a catch or not? Is it a hurt or not? Every freaking chance to get by that one, I would not take the one down. The more I look at it, he had every chance to pass the one. Wasn't getting bumped like for the last furlong. He was kind of like, they were both like just together, but no bumping going on, no hurting, and he just couldn't get by him. That would be my call. Wow. Did I pick the over? I think it's over now. I picked over it under 10 minutes. How long it would take? I think we're over that now. We're 2 minutes out. 2 is even money. That's just too short for my taste. Penn National. And they're 2 minutes out to race 4 at Churchill. But they better get this race in. They want to run the rest of the card in Minnesota. People go home early there. They do it. They had 4 days there. They run 2 night cards, and then they run 2 day cards. And I think, unless they've changed it, it's been, I guess it's been like, my goodness, it's been 20 years since I've been there, since I lived there. Time flies. What they decide? You hear it. Well, still looking at it. By 60-50, no change is my guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. We have 2 disqualifications. We will begin with the first one that transpired shortly after the start. Now, the new top 4.
Oh my goodness, the double disqualification.
1-3. And here's how. The 5, Blaine JD, initially is placed behind number 4, our Mercedes boys, for what you're seeing right here on TV monitors. Coming down on him or stumbles, rider almost goes down. So the 5 is disqualified and placed behind number 4 for that infraction. Now we head to the stretch.
No, this is ridiculous.
Battling, and despite the rider on the 1, as you will see here, with the 1, bring me a check drifting, you will see Ruben Fuentes continuously using his right-handed stick trying to keep the horse straight, but the drift continues and impacted the 5 for about 150 yards. So the stewards have disqualified the 1 and placed the 1 behind the 5.
Oh, goodness.
For that infraction. Here is your official, soon-to-be official top 4. 4, 5, 1, 3.
Boy, they wanted to put that 4 in the winner's circle, that's for sure. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous, in my opinion. I almost see the 1 being disqualified. I just can't see the 5 being disqualified in a race. Just don't make sense to me. But whatever, they made the call. Okay, so oh man, 3 to 5 on this too. He's not even gonna win, is he? No, maybe he is. Let's close it in. Yeah. Guess he's got the late pace. Yeah. So wow, that 2 got hammered. But 2-1 Penn National drawing away late. And that's it for me. Thanks for everyone for joining. I appreciate it. And yeah, that is ridiculous. I agree with you. We're just talking about the yeah, well, it's not my state anymore. Okay, talk to you guys. Bye.